Yeah. Okay, so we're ready. Welcome to cycle 2 of the Ministry Marketing Challenge, the Go for Growth Ministry Marketing Challenge. Cycle 1 was exciting for me. I mean, beautiful. It was beautiful for me. Tanisha was a part of cycle 1. Coach Charlene was a part of cycle 1. We have a few people who are part of cycle 1, but they're not here yet. And Sekani, you're joining for the first time. So yay! Welcome. So I already know what Tanisha does. So I'm going to ask you, Sekani, to just introduce yourself, and then Tanisha would introduce herself, and then we would start with what I believe that the Lord will have us do tonight.
My name is Sekani. I reside in Ireland, but originally I'm from Malawi. So I'm super excited for this. Actually, I've been called into the ministry, more like of intercession and encouraging like other people who went through what I went through, like depression. And I currently in Ireland, I work as healthcare assistant. So most of the times I work in the hospitals. So I meet different people from different locations with different backgrounds who are going through different pains in life. So most of the times it's like when I work with them, it's like one-on-one most of the times. So I really have like good chat with them. Like most people don't believe in Christ, like Ireland, with the background of Roman Catholic and stuff like that.
Right.
So most of the time, like like give them idea what Christ is, not necessarily on religion point of view. So yeah.
Well done.
So
well done.
I feel like my platform is so like one-to-one, like I'm not into like social media or anything, no.
Okay, it's fine. There's no problem. There's no problem. Okay, so Tanisha, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Tanisha Lee Costales, also known as TLC. I am an author to the forthcoming book, Becoming a Virtuous Wife, and I also teach and encourage women to love themselves. And I'm from America, in Florida.
You know, I'm excited. I'm excited because of your introduction. Yay!
Yeah, I know, right? I'm getting better. Now that's how I introduce myself all the time now.
Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. All right, so tonight I was thinking, how do we have the conversation about ministry marketing? I mean, especially because we have other people from the previous cycle here. And so one of the things that I said I will do with this cycle is that we will share some of the content from the previous cycle. We'll share the content from the previous cycle. And that's why when you join the Facebook group, you would have found that we did not remove anything. It was intentional. It was very intentional so that you can look at it. And if you have questions, no problems. But I would also make sure that I curate something new, because there's a whole lot to learn about marketing and about ministry. And so today I might not be explaining deeply as I did in the first cycle. You have the video, don't worry. In the first cycle, what ministry marketing is. But in a nutshell, ministry marketing is the opportunity that we have, or marketing in ministry is the opportunity that we have to share the offer. I'll take that again. Ministry marketing is the opportunity that we have and that God has given us to share our offering, to share our value, to share our mission of the message of the gospel with as many as God will bring our way, using the platforms that are available to us and usable for us. Now, that is my own definition of ministry marketing. It is the ability and the opportunity that we have to create, to communicate our offerings, our values, using the platforms that are available and usable for us to reach the people, or to reach a vast people, using platforms, with our offerings, with our vision, with our mission, right? So in this course, before I go into what I want to share with you tonight, in this course, or in this challenge, it's 15 days. So every day, this is your first live session. Your second live session will be on day 15, where everything that we have learned, everything we have spoken about, everything I have shared with you within the group, every question you might have, we will now tackle it together, and we'll look at it together. And I'll just share with you things that are questions that are burning on your heart, and things that I believe that we must begin to look forward to, right? Now, within this 15 days, that is starting from tomorrow, you're going to start receiving prompts of things that you should do and things that you can do in respect to marketing ministry, in respect to growing what you believe that God has put in your mouth, in respect to putting the work, doing the work, putting your hands to work, with that which God is expecting of you in this time and in this season. And I'm particularly excited that Sikani is here, and I asked her to do that introduction, because now I know that even though she's here doing ministry marketing, she doesn't have anything. She said, I'm not doing anything social media. So, so I have that understanding 100%. And that also gives me perspective to know that whether you are doing social media as a minister, or like Sikani, you are interfacing, and interacting one-on-one to people, I can also share with you the things that are important. So for example, maybe Tanisha goes to an event and somebody's wondering, oh, what do you do? Or somebody's wondering, how does this work? Or somebody's wondering, what exactly are you talking about? She's also able to interface, one-to-one with that person, because there's a boldness that comes with nobody seeing you. And there's a boldness that comes with when you're faced with people and you have to explain certain things. So I'll put that definitely. Thank you, Sikani, for sharing that and not holding back. I'll put that into consideration with the kind of contents that we'll be sharing within this next 15 days, because I'm sure that you won't be the only one who has to interact with people one-to-one, right? Okay, so today I thought to share with you on something that I believe there's something I believe is very important when it comes to the conversation of marketing. Usually when we talk about marketing, we're talking about productivity, we're talking about profitability, we're talking about how to produce more, we're talking about how to increase influence, and we're talking about how to increase impact. However, there's something that I believe is key in achieving this influence, this impact, and what we call profitability. I have my definition of what being profitable is. There's the economic angle to it and the eternal angle to it. So it's beyond the money, even if the money is part of it. I mean, if we bear fruit, there's definitely going to be proof of productivity, right? Now, what this is for me is branding. And thank God that I was actually going to look at the broader aspect of branding, but I decided let's look at the personal branding aspects, the personal branding aspects to ministry growth. How you put yourself out there, how you present yourself, package yourself, how you put yourself together determine the possibility of the growth of the work that God has given you. I'll give you an example. Usually we think that, oh, because, God has called me and I know this thing that I'm supposed to do. There are certain things that we should put in place, but we just tell ourselves, oh, because it's gospel, or because it's Christian, or because it's God that gave it to me, or because, oh, I had a dream, you know, or because I just sensed something, I perceived something. However I show up, people will accept it. And that's not true. There is a way, and if you have seen my video and my teaching on John the Baptist, how to become visible even with a hard assignment. If you have seen that video, I shared with you how your presentation is important. There are certain times where God is trying in scripture, even to the children of Israel, God is passing a message across, and he will say to a Jeremiah, or he will even say to an Ezekiel. I remember Ezekiel very well. He will say to Ezekiel, dress this way. And when they ask you, he will say, this is how you should look. He will say, tie something around your head or tie something around your body. And he will say, if they ask you, why are you dressed this way? Tell them that this is what the Lord is saying will happen to Israel. So there is something particular, there is something important about how we present ourselves, which is what I call personal branding. It's about how we show up and people can perceive us. I'll give you another example. If we say, for example, you're looking at the intercessory part of things, and you say, oh, God is calling me to intercession, right? And when you show up in front of people, you show up as, especially in a community that has a different worldview about intercession, about prayer, about God, about Jesus. They are not able to tell who you are. And so all you need to do sometimes is just stand in front of somebody and say, who do you think that I am? Just looking at me, what do you perceive concerning me? And we'll be shocked that if we expected them to say that we are intercessors, that they would not say that. And it's not their fault. It's because we did not show up in a language that they will understand, even if the language is not verbal. In branding, it is not just so much about what you say, it is how you look, the language you use, your tone of conversation, and the consistency of your brand. If you showed up like John the Baptist, wearing all of those things that he wears and eating locusts and honey, showed up like that on day one, showed up like that on day two, he does not need to tell them anything. One day, he will just ask them a question and they will say to him, this is who you are. Because branding is about perception. Branding is about perception. Your personal brand is you actively and strategically and intentionally positioning in such a way with your voice, with your aesthetics, with your vision, with your mission, with clarity of calling. It is how you show up. And when people are asked, who is this, they know who you are. And usually when people are asked, you're not there. So let me use Tanisha's example. They want to have a conference. Somebody wants to host a conference. And they're saying, oh, we need to have somebody who can speak on self-love. Tanisha has to have done the work of positioning and presenting herself as a woman with a voice that God has given to help people come to the place of self-affirmation and love. So when she's able to do that to a certain point, even when Tanisha is not in the room, there will be recommendations because she's been able to build a personal brand. Now, Tanisha is not in the room. The same thing happened to Daniel. The king had a dream and they're like, I had a dream. Call all the astrologers for me. Call all these guys for me. I need somebody to interpret this dream for me. If they do not interpret this dream, I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to finish everybody. And the queen mother comes in and says, oh, there's this guy. there has to have been a consistency with Daniel that made the queen mother to say, there was this guy when your father was king and he interpreted your father's dream. There was such a consistency with Daniel. And so when we want to market, before you put money in marketing, before you say, oh, we want to have a marketing budget, before you say, oh, how do we, sometimes we spend so much money where we're supposed to put strategy in place, or where we're supposed to put a system and structure in place. And so when we get to that point, before we get to that point, our branding must be key. And nobody does the work of personal branding for you except you. Nobody can do that work of branding for you except you. Usually we'll have an entitlement mentality, that, oh, because God has sent me, so people are going to get it. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. We have to be the one, because even the Son of God, Jesus, came and kept on saying, this is who I am. This is who I am. He kept saying it. This is who I am. He did not leave it to chance. He did not leave it to their thoughts. He did not leave it to their imagination. He kept saying, this is who I am. And so if I want to encourage you for anything, especially those of us who are doing ministry online, create a system of intentionality that introduces you, right? And this is me that I've not even got into my notes. So I say your brand is what people perceive about you. It's not necessarily really about your marketing paraphernalia. It's not about, what you can do. It's not about how much you spent on building a website. You can build a website. You can have 1,000 followers. You can have 2,000 members. You can have 10,000 members. But if there's anything that I have seen that have stifled the growth of organizations, especially ministries, it is this branding thing. They are not able to articulate who they are. And then in the process of articulating, it's not that they don't know what they are meant to do, but they've not been able to articulate it in such a way that when somebody else comes into the community, they know who they are. Because see, let me tell you how growth happens. Let me explain how growth happens. God gives a man a vision. The man is able to communicate the vision. Let's say 10 people join. Within those 10 people, 5 of them understand, right? Those 5 that understand and get the message, what will happen is when they find their friends who also need the same solution that they sought when they joined that ministry, they will tell 5 of their other friends, and then they become how many? 10. Those 10 people, right? Those 10 people find another 10, and then like that, 5, 10, 20, before you know it, the 5 is able to bring in 50. The 50 is able to bring 500. Growth happens when there is an understanding and a clarity of the brand. And if I have found anything in ministry, especially with how God deals with us, it is that until the system of your branding is in place, your growth will be stifled. You can only grow as high. You can only grow as well. You can only grow as abundant as you build your brand. And so if we don't even get anything tonight, it's important to get. Because somebody says, oh, but branding, I have a website, I have a logo, I have colors. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about building a ministry that can make your followers become ambassadors. That's what branding does for you. Branding turns the people who follow you into ambassadors. And ambassadorship is how you grow. Ambassadorship is how you grow. So if you're not able to articulate your branding, if you're not able to be clear, because a lot of times we are not clear. You understand it, but does the other person understand it? Are we clear? Is our language comprehensible enough to be able to turn our followers or to be able to turn our members to ambassadorship. There's a particular church here in Nigeria. And as much as, yes, it's God that gave them the increase, there's so much on social media. And I just took a look from a distance at their member engagements. And I said to myself, what has made these people grow is the members. There is such a member experience. There is such an ambassadorship experience that multiplies the influence of that ministry and has grown the ministry to such a point and a level that only the pastor, only the leaders could never have done. If you see a ministry that has a large number of following, it's not the pastor that did the work. The pastor may have done a bit of it, but there's only so much a pastor can do. It is the members that did the work. It is the members that did the work. And so it's important for us as we think about marketing, it's important for us as we think about growth in ministry, in the work that God is giving us. It's important for us to begin to think bigger, to think big picture. And big picture is for people who God is going to be bringing, yes, it's here. For people who God is going to be bringing, into this ministry. I'm busy. I'm in a class. Go and sit down. It's important for us, if we're going to think about growth, to begin to think about the big picture of, and Tanisha, I'm going to give you an example because of what you're doing right now. We need to begin to think member experience, because member experience, member interface is what actually also helps with ambassadorship, right? Now, Tanisha, coming to you, let's say, for example, and I don't know if this is part of your strategy. Yes, we're in March. March, yes. I'm in class, please, okay? Now, Tanisha, I don't know if this has occurred to you, or if this is something that you might be considering, that at some point on this journey, you have to create membership. And I think that we had that conversation in the last cycle, that there has to be a community where people come in, because the truth is that online ministry is not content creation. See, all that thing we're doing with posting content is just level one. The real deal is, Tanisha, multiplying yourself. That's where the ministry is. Discipleship. If we have 10 more Tanishas teaching women and teaching wives how to be virtuous and how to love themselves, and those 10 more become 20, and then they become 40. What we've done is discipleship. So we need to begin to think about and pray about and build a strategy for membership. Of course, initially, it will be free and all of that, but there has to be a membership experience. That is what this journey is about. And trust me, if God told us in the beginning that, oh, you need to start gathering women, we're like, God, you know what? I'm just good praying for people. I'm just fine. I'm just fine where I am. We don't have to do this. But the point is this, that as growth happens, God is actually entrusting the souls of men into our hands. So I said something, that your brand is what people perceive about you, not necessarily your marketing paraphernalia. To effectively market ministry, it is important that we establish branding. If we're going to effectively market in ministry, our branding must be 100%. Again, branding is not your color, it's not your logo, it's not your font. All those things are just the aesthetics part of it. It is the perception. We have to intentionally shape the perception of people. And see, let me just say this right now. Whether you do it intentionally or you don't do it intentionally, you are shaping a perception. And that's why before we even begin to say, I want to market and I want to grow, my first question is, why are you seeking growth? Have you clearly established the one thing that God is calling you to do in this season? Why exactly are you seeking growth? Are you seeking growth because, oh, I've been on Instagram for a long time and my numbers are not growing? Or are you seeking growth because the Lord is demanding that you begin to bear fruit? And if it is that the Lord is demanding that you begin to bear fruit, we need to go back to the assignment that God gave us. Because whether we actively participate in shaping the perception of people around us and those who follow us, we are still shaping their perception. And so we must, number one, have a clear understanding of who we are. Have a very clear understanding of who you are. Who are you? And I'm not asking you what you think of yourself. I'm asking you who God has called you as a minister in this time. I'm not asking you what you've written down. Who does God call you? Who did God say that you are? It's as if somebody said, hey. Who does God call you? Because there is the idea of, oh, I know who I am. And you're probably saying who you were 5 years ago. Who does God call you in this time? In the future of God. And you know, God doesn't have the future, but in the future picture of who you are, who is God calling you right now? Because sometimes who God is calling you right now is not who you think that you are right now. You don't think that you fit into it. And so having a clear understanding of who you are, you need to go back to, what are the pictures God has given me? What are the scriptures God has given me? What has God said to me? We have to sit down. It's a critical thing. And this is so critical because you don't want to market. You don't want to market the wrong thing. Don't market the ministry that God has not given you. So you know, the tricky part of marketing ministry is that you can be marketing the wrong identity. The tricky part of ministry is, especially if it has to do with spending money, you can be marketing the wrong identity. You can be marketing the wrong product. And yes, I remember, you know, we got into a new year. And I had this strategy planned out for, you know, corporate church. I had this strategy planned out about how we're going to do some things. And while I was about to do that, the Lord said to me, this is not what I want to put out right now. So I shut it down and I said, okay, God, so what exactly do you want us to do? And then he began to say, this is what I want you to do. And that thing he wanted us to do was not even in the plan at all. But of course, I shut it down. Like, if God says this is what he wants us to do, then fine. If it's something that I have to do, you know, even though I didn't have it in my plan, I'm going to get up and do it. So when I ask the question of, who are you? I'm not asking the question of, oh, tell me about yourself. No. Or tell me what you think about your calling. No. Or tell me what you think about what God is calling. I'm asking you to take a step back and remember the words, the names, the scripture, the pictures, and the vision that God has given you. And who in this particular time in your life, he's saying, I want you to step out as. I want you to step out as this person. right? Now, when we're able to have that clear understanding, because we operate in seasons and in phases, and in seasons and in phases. Once we have that clear understanding of who we are, then it will now help us to clearly demonstrate our mission for the season, our vision for the season or for the assignment, and the values that we are offering. It will help us to demonstrate our mission for the assignment or the calling, our vision, and then the value we are offering. Again, it is possible to market the right identity using the wrong vision, the wrong mission, and the wrong value offering. So say, for example, you already know, and I'll use Tanisha's example again, you already know, oh, it's self-love, oh, it's, virtuous wife. And you're thinking, so what value are we offering? And you think it's just about posting on social media. That's not the value you are offering. That's just one of the things you are doing to communicate the value you are offering. The value you are offering is a system of exchange or a transactional system that occurs when people connect with you. The value you are offering is a transactional system that occurs, a transactional reality that occurs when people come in contact with you. That is the value you're offering. Writing a book, doing videos, all of those things are not the values you are offering. What is the transactional exchange? What is happening in the lives of people? Where are you taking them from and taking them to when they engage you? What are you, by the tools of scripture, of the word, of prayer, of whatever it is that God has given you, what transformation is happening? That's the value you're offering. I'll give you an example. When Jesus showed up in the life of Peter, that guy was fishing, right? What he knew as value was, I give you fish, you give me money. That's what he knew. I give you fish, you give me money. But by the time Jesus showed up, Jesus says, you know what, guy? I have a better offer for you. You follow me and I'll give you the hearts of men. So instead of just taking their money, you are actually securing their lives after now. So instead of just making sure that they eat, because a man wakes up and is like, oh, what am I going to eat today? Or the man wants to work and is like, I need to put food on my table, because that's what everybody's trying to chase. So instead of being the man that provides food for them, become the man that teaches them, gives them food, which is the word of God, and the encounters and the revelatory experiences. You teach them that, you give them that, and they can get their lives secured in eternity. What value are you offering? Oh, somebody says, oh, I have a prayer ministry. Yes. What value is your prayer ministry offering? Because that is what you communicate. That is what people understand. Let me give you an example. Say, for example, you have a prayer ministry, and there's somebody who has a dream, or who dreams, maybe they have nightmares, and they come in contact with you, right? And when they come in contact with you, they don't really get anything. You're not able to communicate to them that by coming in contact with prayer, or by coming in contact with intercession, your dream life can change. Because what is chasing that person is the night time. Once it's night, they can't sleep. Your offering is that God gives his beloved sleep. And you need to be able to communicate it in a language that they understand. If you offer that person money or offer that person prosperity, they may take it for the sake of, well, man needs money. But their real need, their core need, has not been attended to. Your personal brand is shaped when you are able to clearly demonstrate the value that you are offering. And this is one place where it is, I found that it's quite difficult for especially digital ministers, because we're like, oh, but they come to Jesus. Jesus answers their prayer. We just think, oh, they come to God, God answers them. No. They are seeking a solution. Your offering is that solution. You need to be able to communicate exactly that. So the first question in shaping this perception is, why is God giving me the opportunity to grow? And I said, to be able to answer that question, we must also have a clear understanding of who we are and how we can clearly demonstrate our mission, our vision, and the value that this work, is offered. And I said something the other time, that these people who you're able to communicate the mission, the vision, and the value that the ministry or that the work that you do offers will become the human face and the voice of the brand that God has given you. And so it's important that you create a brand that they can recognize and they can connect with. That they can recognize beyond, oh, it's a black color, oh, that's TLC, oh, no, it's purple, oh, that's, you need to be able to create something that they can recognize and connect. Have you heard people say that when I hear the tone of this person, I know that this is this person speaking? They've been able to create that brand. Nobody can tell me that when their eyes are shut and they hear SRJ, Sarah Jakes, they don't know SJR. They don't know she's the one speaking. You just know she's the one speaking. In fact, when she shows up, one of the first things you notice is her style. And then when she begins to break sermons, what's her personal brand? Bringing the woman to a point where she realizes that you can be better. You will always evolve regardless of the situation. So the real question tonight will be, okay, if branding is important to my marketing and my growth as a ministry, why should people be a part of what God is calling me to do? You need to ask yourself that question. Why should people be a part of what God is calling me to do? Why should they join me? Why should they follow you? Why exactly? What do they need it for? Because guess what? Branding is not for you. Branding is for the people. You're the one who had the encounter. You're the one who had the experience. You're the one who had the scripture. You saw the vision. It is you. God woke up in the middle of the night. But all of those stories don't matter to nobody. The real deal is this. Branding is not for you. It's for the people. And one of the areas where we must begin to look at is how we'll tell the story of the brand that God has put in our head. One of the ways you shape the perception of your brand is in your storytelling. So tonight, I want to ask you a question. What is your story? What is your story? And I'm asking that question not because I don't know that you have a story, but also because I've come to realize that in the public relations, marketing, and advertising space, there are two sides. There can be more than one side. Let me put it that way. There can be more than one side to a brand story. I'll give you an explanation. Peter, again, as my example. Remember when, so Peter had this, follow Jesus 3 years, and then it came to a point, Jesus died, left, And Peter is like, in John 21, Peter is like, you know what, guys, I'm done. I'm not doing this. And then Jesus shows up and says, Peter, do you love me? Right? And of course, they had this miracle again of the fishes and all of that. But in Acts chapter 2, and I just made this discovery. In Acts chapter 2, when the Spirit of God came upon them, and they were speaking in tongues, and the people came and they said, oh, what manner of, thing are they speaking? Peter did not recall that story. Peter did not talk about how he did not want to be a part of this. Peter told the story of redemption. Peter told the story of God's love. Peter told the story of possible transformation by believing in Jesus. There was not one thing that Peter said that had to do with him. And when I looked at it, I said, okay. I said, it means that as a ministry, if we're going to grow and we're going to improve on our brand story, we must begin to tell our story, watch this, from the future point, from the transformative points, from the point of exchange, and from the point of power. And I said, if we're going to get this thing right, we're going to have to ask ourselves, is my brand story a pity story or a power story? Is my brand story a pity story, P-I-T-Y, or a power story? So a pity story for Peter could have been, oh, I didn't want to do this, even after I followed Jesus, I didn't have money again, and all of that. But the power story was that this Jesus that you guys crucified is the one that gave us the gift of the Spirit, and that is why you guys can actually draw near to us, because you hear the language of the Spirit. Your pity story, yes, it can bring people, but can it sustain the people? Your power story is a hunger in the heart of the people. Your pity story may be able to bring people into the room. But if you're watching closely, pity can do nothing. Power is where transformation is. Even Paul said something. He said, when I come to you, I don't come to you with fluency of words. I come with a demonstration of the power of God. So is your brand story, are you positioning as a pity brand or as a power brand? I also noted, I said it also means that, and if you have my book, Empowered to Do Hard Things, you find this in it. It also means that it's important that we begin to merge the transformative power of our revelations and our research in our story. let me paint a picture for you. If you have an opportunity right now and a CNN, or let me be very conservative, a TBN or a CBN or a Daystar network reaches out to you and say, oh, please send us, 2 minutes, of your story. And know that within the 2 minutes, within the 2 minutes that you're sharing, you also have the opportunity to advertise or to speak about what God has called you to do. Can you tell me what is going to be most important for you to say? You're going to have to, especially if you've been able to identify your target audience. You're going to have to, if you're able to, you're going to have to be able to articulate. And some of us will make notes and make notes and make notes and make notes. But let me tell you, when you show up in spaces as such, you want to You want to begin with prophetic precedence. Oh my God. Let me just biblicalize it for you. When Peter was speaking to those people in Acts chapter 2, he said something. He said, this thing that you see, he said it was spoken of in Joel chapter 2. Right? So Peter pulled history. Follow me. Your brand story begins from history. If I ask you tonight, Tanisha, what is the percentage of women who struggle with self-love? If I ask you, what is the percentage of the outcome of women who struggle with self-love? I would want a conversation that would tilt in the line of, it's been said that 80% of women struggle with self-love, and within that 80%, we have found that 50% of them are suicidal. And so what we do at TLC is to ensure that we educate and we help and we encourage and we empower women to come to the place where they love themselves so much they want to live life to the fullest. And so somebody is watching that and saying, I don't want to be part of the statistics of 50% and 80%. Somebody is watching that and they are seeing that I can live life to the fullest and not have to struggle through what is actually, or what might actually be a generational curse. So when we tell our story, and I gave you that example, that instance, to say that if you had an opportunity with CNN or you had an opportunity with BBC, and they give you, because see, part of what God is doing for us in this time is not just for us to remain in the religious spaces. So if He gives us opportunities with people and places where they are not, in quotes, spiritual. Nobody wants to, those people don't want to hear, oh, if I lay my hands on you, your life will change. They want to hear English language. They want to hear how their lives can change. They want to hear what is possible for them. They want you to be able to tell them that their lives does not have to remain as the life of the one before them and the one before them and the one before them. That there is a possibility for them to step into an unusual life of abundance. And it's possible. It's possible. And so your brand story is, yes, I know that. And this is really important for us, especially because, you know, we find it very inspiring or inspirational or motivational to say, oh, you know, there was a time in my life when this, then God said I should start to do this. It's powerful, and the church community can understand that. But again, think big picture. There are levels of audiences that you will attract because you're able to speak not just inspirationally, but intellectually. And how you choose to speak becomes how people perceive you. The Bible says that we have not been given the spirit of timidity, but of love, of power, and of a sound. Meaning that it is possible to tell our brand story with love, with power, and with a sound mind. And so tonight I just thought, you know what, before we even have any conversation and before I even begin to share with you how to market, let's go back to this branding thing. Because this branding thing will become the foundation of how we market. Because this branding thing becomes how we're able to put ourselves together and market right and offer right and do what is most important so that we can deliver to kingdom the KPI that kingdom is expecting. And so I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that it's time for us to go back to our personal branding. I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that the assignment God has put in your hand is powerful. It depends on how you are viewing it. But if you put on the lens of big picture, whether you are doing it digitally, or you are doing it face-to-face, one-to-one, your demeanor, your countenance, how you show up alone, people want to hear you. People want to listen to you. And when you open your mouth to speak, you are able to speak the language that they understand. All right, so we have come to the end of this teaching. Does anybody have any questions? Do you have any questions? Do you have any contributions? Did something hit you and you're like, oh, no, don't go there? Talk to me.
I have no questions. This was actually really good. Now I got to go back and rebrand.
Whoosh. Okay, but I know that this was helpful, right? It was very helpful. I know that because
Yeah,
you know when I sat down and I said, okay, God, what do we? He said, go back to branding. So let them know. You know, because sometimes we're trying to spend money where we're supposed to just put certain things in place, right? So I want to see the rebrand story. So you owe me that one.
Okay. Yeah, that was good.
Thank you. All right, Sikani, do you have anything to share?
No, I don't have anything to share. It's just that that's given me like where to go, like what value you are adding, like what you said. It's not about just the numbers, like, but what value are you adding into the ministry that God has called you for? That's what matters. So, and blending as well, like when they are seeing you, like when giving you that message, how are you presenting it, like how, like, so it has given me more insight on that particular level, like yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right, okay, so just one person told me that they were not going to be able to be in the class because they had I think Bible study, midweek service or so. Every other conversation will head to the group. So from tomorrow, you'll begin to see posts on the group on things that you can do, you know, concerning your ministry marketing. If you have questions, please make sure to post it on the group and I'll definitely respond to you. I will send this video. I would upload it. It will be on I think you should get that link tonight. If you don't get it tonight, you get it tomorrow morning. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the session. God bless you. And please feel free to send me a message anytime. I'll respond to you as long as I'm not asleep. Have a great rest of your night and please expect my messages. God bless you. Tanisha, I see you at work. Well done.
Oh, yes, I am. But I work at home, so all is well.
All right, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.